Hello and welcome. Today is ZOTAC number 260 and we're going to be watching the finals. Now, big surprise, I know, it's Lucifer versus Infi, which means it's an undead Lucifer versus a human. We've seen quite a few of these in the finals, and honestly, I gotta say, I'm pretty proud of Lucifer at this point. I am. Some people have said, you know, well, he has a pretty easy time because his versus human is his best matchup, and he's been getting a lot of humans in ZOTAC, so therefore, you know, it's not quite as impressive. I say the guy's won 4 out of 7 ZOTACs, and this is in a row. This is his 8th ZOTAC in a row that he's in, well, that he's played in a row, and this is the 8th one that he's actually played, but this is the 5th one he's made it to, no, well, he won 4. I think he's made it to finals 5 times, and this will be his 6th time in finals, but either way, I think it's really impressive. So we are on Turtle Rock. This is Infi spawning as the blue human in the top right, and then down here on the lower left bottom of the map we have Lucifer spawning as the pink undead, doing what appears some kind of I believe this is a Ted Fiends, but it looks very much like one. I think this is the map I believe we saw Lucifer actually block his hero in with this build, having the altar zig in the shop, and it looks like he's actually fixed that. He's not building quite so close to those trees this time around, so it's good to see that that's what is going to happen there. Up here we can see there's an acolyte scout checking out the map, and we can have a footman. It's probably going to come down here and scout the base. It won't be able to do any damage. There's going to be a Nubian tower already up before it gets there, so that'll be really good timing for him. We can see Infi is going for Archmage. Now here comes some militia. These timings are pretty similar. It looks like Infi did not fast build his altar at all. I did see that, but I didn't actually. I wasn't paying too much attention as I was talking a little bit. And so yeah, we're going to see him going ahead and creeping out this green, and we're going to have the Death Knight coming in here with his Rod of Necromancy and a Scroll of Temporal. Sometimes on this map, however, you'll see undeads will buy a Dust of Appearance, and the reason you can do that is because this is a map that can drop a Cloak of Shadows. And did he get it? Yes, indeed, he did get it. So if he was to actually focus on the Archmage and it turns night, and he actually got the Archmage low enough to kill him, and then the Archmage hid, without that Dust of Appearance, he wouldn't be able to kill it. Now, that is buying an item on essentially just, I guess, like maybe my opponent will get that, and maybe the situation will happen. It's something that doesn't happen too often, so we don't see that as much, but sometimes players are just paranoid about it, so sometimes we do see it. We do see that he goes ahead and picks up 42 experience from that water elemental, and he has a footman that's going, or a skeleton warrior that's going to be running by these footmen back here into Infi's base to see what's going on. And there's going to be an arcane tower already up, so it's not really going to get a whole lot of information. If we see that, oops, we can see just saw that there's going to be some militia coming in here, and that's really all he's going to be able to see. As you can see, let's get back to the observer point of view. Down here he knows now that, however, from that vision he did get to see that there's going to be some kind of a big creep coming on, because that was quite a few militia, and as you can see they're going to be coming over here to this, which is something that we've been seeing humans do more often and more often, where they're going to take this as an expansion and not tech. So we see they still tier 1, and of course if we check over here real quick we can see that the undead is currently teching. Here we can see he is going to try to get a steal probably up on this big creep, but he is focusing on this Archmage. He's taking quite a bit of damage from those skeletons. Now Infi did a good job there splitting damage between those two creeps so that he wouldn't be able to get a coil off on the little one. Just very, very nicely done. But we see quite a few low HP units. As you can see, Lucifer could be coiling them and picking them off, but instead this is doing a little bit more damage. He's just waiting and forcing Infi to not finish off this gargantuan sea turtle, because if Lucifer gets this, it's going to be a lot of experience. And here we can see Lucifer is going for it. It looks like he's going to get it. Oh, yes, he does. He actually gets it. Does he get the item? He gets the item as well. It's a Scroll of the Beast. That's a pretty big, awesome item, and it's a really nice steal to have. That does go ahead and place him up to level 2. As you can tell, that's awesomely and awesome. I'm saying awesome a lot. That's really a really good move. It's really nice to get that. The Archmage really doesn't want this undead to have Unholy Aura this early on while he's harassing. This is going to give him a much faster move speed. This is going to give him a much needed health regeneration, especially because he took so much damage while trying to get that steal off. And people, people have asked me actually since I've started doing these, why do the humans not deal with this? Why, or not humans? Why do the undeads try to steal these creeps? They never do. Well, I think it's that's right there, because when it happens, it can be a game changer. And so, I mean, and you don't really have that much to lose. I mean, you can lose your Death Knight, I guess, but it's one of those things. It's player skill, raw, unadulterated player skill. So it comes down to it, and both players trying to prove who's the better player. You can see Lucifer picking up double sacrificial skulls here. And of course, these are very cheap little items that when you place them down, place a big circle of blight, which is just something that's going to be nice. And essentially, or I mean, especially because we can see that this Death Knight is still low HP. Now, what does blight do for undead units? It only does one thing. It allows you, well, two things. It allows you to build on it, of course, but more importantly, for what we're going to see happen here, is we're going to see him use it so that you get the 2 HP a second regeneration while you're on it. That's a lot of regeneration, and we're going to see maybe a tavern hero here, or maybe we'll see a lich. It looks like we're going to see a tavern hero. He's just got to get to 425 gold, and there he goes. So, yep, we're going to see a panda being picked, second hero by Lucifer. If there's one thing I like about Lucifer, he just loves different heroes. He just always is getting them. We can see there's only one arcane tower up, and we're going to see that beast scroll, or the scroll of the beast, being used very efficiently here. It's 25% damage to all of his units right here, so he's going to do quite a bit of damage, getting some really nice AoE fire damage going on, killing lots of these footmen. That panda is now out of mana, so he doesn't really need to be afraid of this arcane tower too much anymore, so he can pretty much go in there. And of course, the Death Knight still has a lot of mana, so he doesn't really want to take too many hits from this arcane tower at all. And none if he can avoid it. I do think he just took one. We do see those ghouls have gone down, but not really huge, not a huge deal at all. We do see the panda taking a lot of focus, but he does have an HP potion he can go ahead and pass to if he needs to. And yes, indeed, he did go ahead and do that. And there is, of course, this is something that lasts 45 seconds, that reward. So as you can see, it just now finally wearing off. That was a 45 seconds of the fight, which is a lot of damage going off. It just really did so much damage right there with that warrior scroll, and really was able to keep a lot of more life, I would say, actually, getting onto that blade, or Death Knight, from using the blight right here. Now you can see one of those towers that has been put up going down, and here we do see Lucifer trying to take down this other arcane tower using a coil effectively here, just try to keep his units alive. A second tower begins to upgrade, and Lucifer says, you know what, I'm not going to let that happen, because once a tower goes up, it's really hard to get it down, but with fiends, as it's building, it's really easy to kill, and with 4 fiends, it's almost impossible to repair it enough to keep it alive. Now, this Archmage is very close to level 3. If you look over here, so is the Death Knight, actually. So as you can tell, it definitely, and the Panda almost level 2, the Undead definitely has gotten really the advantage right there from that fight, doing quite nicely in it. And we do see a statue, Slaughterhouse has finished, and he's going to go ahead and get that first statue out as quickly as he can. Go ahead and creep a little bit here. If he can come back with level 3-3, these towers won't be all that very effective, because the level 3 panda is very effective against towers, and we might not see him. You might not see him go for the creeps. He might just say, I have the level 3 Death Knight, and creep one more thing or something, and then go back, or he may just say, I'm going to go right back right now because I know those towers aren't finished. It's going to be cutting it really close, but it looks like he might be able to finish this guard tower, and maybe the second guard tower, because it's a little bit slower, but it's in the back, so he might not even go for it. But it looks like, yeah, that's going to go down, almost certainly. It's going to be really hard. We do see that arcane tower immediately hitting onto both of these two heroes here, so that's really nice pinpoint micro by Infi, of course, one of the better humans in the world at this point. You're bringing in some more militia, quite a few militia, as well as these defended footmen. Infi's going to be able to keep this push probably held back, I would imagine, because that's just so many footmen right there, and so many militia, and with the footmen being defended, it's going to be really difficult to really do too much there. We do see it looks like Lucifer's going to have to run the other way. There's just too many melee units for him to actually run straight back, kind of getting a little bit blocked there. We do see a statue, unfortunately, being surrounded for him. That statue is going to go down. There's really no way to keep that alive, and it's going to go down. He does get out of the statue, the block, however, it was enough to, the Archmage was there attacking it, which was enough to kill it, and that's going to give level 3 to the Archmage, which means level 2 water elementals, which are going to be much more powerful. Now, at this point, now that those militia are out of the fight, we can see Lucifer starting to go for these defended footmen a little bit, and maybe even go for these water elementals there. Yes, indeed. He's trying to do a little bit of damage on it. It has one fiend just running away with a defended footman chasing it down out of the fight, and of course, we're going to see it micro quite nice and not just running to creeps. Over here, we can see it looks like another footman might go down, and it's going to be really close. Yes, indeed, it does go down, and with the very last attack from a fiend as it tried to run away fast as it could undefended. And this one probably going to go down as well. Yes, indeed it does. So now we can see Lucifer is doing pretty well. We might see some more militia coming back into this fight, but I don't know if we're going to see that or not. Maybe these towers have gone up enough, and Infi is quite satisfied. As you can see, we're going to have more towers up here very shortly, and there's still, Infi is able to, even just with these few units, actually keep Lucifer from coming over here and canceling any more towers. And there's masonry at level 1 upgraded, so that's going to be even harder for Lucifer to take those down at this point. Another statue, another water elemental going down, and a statue is back out for Lucifer. At this point, we can see Infi almost on his, or almost to tier 2, and getting more towers up at his base. Of course, that is Infi's signature, you could say, just having towers everywhere. But he's not nearly as what he used to be. I think something humans have done is just get more efficient with towering. you do need, back in the heyday when Infi was just known for towering, Destro pushes were still something that we commonly saw, and in that case you do need a lot of towers, but since the strategies and the metagames kind of changed and that's not really something you see anymore, you don't need to have so many towers, you just need to be more efficient with them. And that's what we see with placing your blacksmithing, your farms in the right locations, which make it really hard to assault a base like that, especially really hard to get after those towers particularly. You can see that this is going to be a really nice item for the Archmage, and not necessarily for him, but when he gets his second hero, he can pass it. So if he gets a Mountain King second, he can get 2 more bolts out, and with Aura, you know, it's really nice. You really don't even have to worry about mana ever if you have one of those. So you might even end up selling it. I wouldn't be shocked, but it's a really nice item if you just decide to keep it. It looks like he's going to go ahead and buy a couple of items there. Use a clarity and an invisibility potion. That's going to allow him to go and harass pretty much undetected until he gets to the base. We do see level 3 and level 3 onto both of these heroes, and another scroll of the beast going to be used, and just going to go drop down, getting a ton of damage again. As you can see, plus 13 damage on that Death Knight, and of course plus 7 on these non-upgraded fiends. So that's quite a bit of damage. It's 25% increased damage. So essentially for every 4 fiends attack, you have a 5th. So it's kind of like having 6.5 fiends here, or is it 7.5? Yeah, 7.5 fiends there. You have the DPS worth of 7.5 fiends at any rate, and so that's pretty nice. You can see these towers really going down. Infi not able to go and harass because this is just too much pressure. He's going to lose this expansion otherwise. And there are 2 statues out, which is pretty nice for Lucifer because that makes it really difficult for Infi to actually kill one of them, because they're just with 2 of them, and you can see them being used effectively to block that Archmage. Blocking with statues actually pretty easy because they're such big units and they just can kind of move really smoothly. They move as probably one of the smoothest units in the game, and if you've ever microed them, you know what I'm talking about. Probably, I would imagine. But we do see Lucifer is clearly tier 3. He has a level 1 Lich as his 3rd hero with an orb and some skeleton rods, or a skeleton rod. That's going to be very nice. We see that Panda being trapped unfortunately in there and going to just lose all of his mana right here to that Arcane Tower. But the Arcane Tower does go down, so there's no more mana feedback happening in that regard. Here we can see this is going to be Infi's army retreating a little bit. This is the Mountain King. I'm surprised that he hasn't actually placed the pendant of energy onto the Mountain King. There he goes. Places it to the Mountain King. It's going to give him a lot more bolts. And it is, of course, level 1 Brilliant Sword, which isn't quite as nice, but it's still really nice and really pretty effective when you do have such a nice mana item right there. Here you can see these towers are going down. Plenty of peasants are dying. These units aren't going to be enough to really hold this back. There are breakers coming out onto the map. We can see 3 breakers right now, and that's a 4th on its way. This is going to be interesting to see, but with enough breakers and militia, you might very well be able to hold this off as a good, as Infi might be able to do. Because as you can see, there's just so many militia, so many units running in. It's really hard for the undead to really keep track of them and target them. And we see all those bolts really going off and just being really devastating to these fiends. And now he still has yet another bolt, and by the time he uses it and gets a cooldown, he could have another one. So as you can see, he's really doing nicely here. We see another fiend going down. Lots of units died on both sides right there, but ultimately I think Lucifer did come out on top. As you can see, he still has 4 fiends. He did have, I believe, 8 at that point, being 7 or 8, and he is throwing down an expansion right here, which is very nice. It's really good timing to have an expansion, and of course, especially when you are forcing so much pressure out on the human and he can't go and harass it, and the human has to keep coming back to his base, and he has to keep what am I saying? The Spellbreakers are being attacked, and they are going to go run away but not die. It looks like Lucifer's actually going to come over here and creep this, and looks like his expansion won't be scouted just yet, which is effective, because if he does get that, well, now it's scouted. So now he's not too terribly far away, but it looks like he's going to finish this creep and get this very nice item, whatever it's going to end up being. Let's see what is the item. A potion of invulnerability, passes that over to the Panda, I do believe. Yes, indeed. And that's going to be really nice. Now you can see that Infi, being smart here, he knows that he doesn't have to really keep his whole army here to really do a lot of damage to this expansion. One elemental and 2 spellbreakers managed to kill a acolyte, force another acolyte away, and stop a ziggurat from going up. So, or cancel a ziggurat, I guess you would say. And now we do see here comes Lucifer's army, and so that's going to be really nice. And at the same time, Infi has been creeping, so he's going to be able to probably have picked up an invul potion. No, he didn't buy the lesser invulnerability potion. A little bit odd. I'm not sure why he wouldn't. Maybe he just didn't have the gold, but that does seem like the most likely thing. You can see he's already broke upkeep, going straight to gonna get as high as he can, probably up to 80 food as fast as possible. And Yeah, he's at 72 out of 84, or they finished a farm and went up to 84, so that is his supply cap. That's what he's looking for. Here we can see that Lucifer is here. Is he going to be able to get a steal on? Probably not, even if there is a Mountain King, but actually is able to get the steal. Is he going to be able to get the item as well? No, it looks like the Mountain King actually got the item. The item is really nice. It's going to be really nice for the human to help counteract the unholy orb. We actually see the Lucifer's Death Knight has been surrounded, and the panda that was holding, oh nope, I guess there was just a potion of invulnerability on that Death Knight that he did go ahead and get to use. Now this Mountain King is going to go down, and yes indeed, the Mountain King goes down, which frees the Death Knight from the surround. You can see this is the Archmage taking a bunch of damage. He's staffing out. It takes 3 seconds and he's gone. There we go. And now you can see this is the human army running away from the remainder of that creep. What is left, those 2 Forest Troll Berserkers, and there is, of course, Lucifer's good guy skeleton just saying, hey, don't worry about those guys, attack me, you know. And so that's what happened. We do have 4 breakers out on the map. Neither one of these breakers have any upgrades at all, and we can see there's none coming in from that blacksmith, and it looks like they're pretty much just breakers that are unupgraded completely at this point.
Are under attack.
Which isn't surprising, because of course when you break upkeep as fast as Infi has, you immediately breaks upkeep. Didn't really bank from the fact that he had that expansion and had taken so much damage. He just said, you know what, I'm going to focus my money on getting as much army as I can. That's kind of what you're going to have. You can't really have those upgrades. And that's one of the things that we'll see a lot of humans do, and it's really smart if you can, is to bank as long as possible to get all of those upgrades, and then just overwhelm the undead army when you have a bunch of fully upgraded units, which is absolutely massive. Upgrades are just massively important, and so when you don't have those upgrades, you're just going straight for the army. That's an issue. As you can see, I honestly don't think it would have worked out nearly as badly for Infi. I mean, I'm not gonna say that I think he's lost the game just yet, but it's not looking too good for him. But if he hadn't lost both of his heroes there, he would be in much better shape. He does go ahead and pick up from that red camp that he just grabbed right there on this right here. He did go ahead and pick up a Khadgar's Pipe of Insight, and that of course is essentially the same thing as a 1.5 level Brilliant Sword, I do believe. But I believe it's a 1.5, I'm almost positive on that. That's usually how they all work. I need to fact check myself on that someday, because I'm not 100% and I don't like not being 100. I'm like 98. But anyway, he's going to be able to sell that for a decent amount of gold, because he doesn't need it, because he's already got level 2. Or alternatively, he may end up actually retraining into Blizzard and Water Elemental, which also would be something I could see him doing. But here we can see a lot of focus going on to that Mountain King. The Mountain King getting out of there. We can see a break is going to go down, and a potion of invulnerability being used on that Death Knight. His Lich being surrounded right here, bolt surrounded, unfortunately for that Lich. That Lich is going to go down. There's no way for him to get out of this, and all those breakers are just attacking him, focusing him down. And down goes the Lich. Now we can see perhaps the same thing happen to this Death Knight. However, he does have a teleport scroll, so it looks like they're not even going to bother trying to surround him. They're just going to try to chase him away, get him out of this fight. Now we do see some Abominations have actually entered the fight, and with that, those are going to be able to really counter these Spellbreakers quite nicely, especially when they don't have any armor upgrades. They're only at 0. Then Abominations do quite a bit of damage. They do the normal damage, and they do 33 to 39, and they only have 600 life, and medium armor does indeed take extra damage from normal attacks. So that is something that is going to be pretty much a very good counter to those Spellbreakers. Now, if we look back over here, we can see that there's going to be some Acolytes coming out. These are probably going to be Shades, because there are 5 Acolytes right there, 5 Acolytes right here, and so that's very likely going to become a Shade. And we do see these Ziggurats being used. Of course, you have to have towers, and that's really essential when you're trying to deal with an expansion as an undead. You have to have something that, for whenever like 1 or 2 units come in here, that you can prevent the harass. And we do see actually two Acolytes going down, so we might not see any Shades at this point. It looks like a 3rd Acolyte going down, the one that was just built and queued over here. It does go down as well. We do have a Destroyer on the map also, which is going to be really nice against these Water Elementals. So we might see, if enough Destroyers are put up, we might see Infi just selling the Khadgar's Pipe, and he does want to wait, of course, until he's below 50 food if he can. He might not be able to do that, but if you sell an item when you are above 50 food, you are in upkeep, and what happens there is you don't get as much money for the item. So it's just like when you mine gold. So that's one of those things. It's also when you pass gold. If someone passes you gold, you're in upkeep. Then that also reduces the amount of gold you get, just like it from upkeep. So upkeep is really just like all gold sources. Here we can see that Death Knight does get surrounded, bolt surrounded, and yes indeed, Very, very nice bolts surround by Infi. He does go ahead and use a potion of invulnerability and starts to focus down that Mountain King. Is he going to be able to get the Mountain King? It looks like a bolt goes off onto the Death Knight. Lots of damage going off onto this Death Knight, and he's going to be forced to TP as well as that Mountain King. Both players TPing out of the fight. You can see that Panda doing some really nice criticals, 100 some damage. Really nice. So we can see that 4 of those Spellbreakers, unfortunately, were slightly too far over this way when they TP'd, when the Mountain King TP'd from all the way over here. And so therefore they're going to have to walk all the way back on their own. We do have a Water Elemental. Going to be trying to do a little bit of grass somewhere over here. Not going to be all that really concerning to Lucifer. And Lucifer does have a Potion of Healing, as well as a Healing Scroll now on his Death Knight, who's now level 5. And his Lich has come back out, and the Lich is level 3. Fan is level 4, and here we do have 2 of those Spellbreakers. Now we do have these 4 Spellbreakers coming back over here to join up with the human army. It looks like he wants to creep this. Does he have any sort of way? He does not have any sort of teleport scroll at all or anything right now. He just needs to buy time, and I think that might have been what he was trying to do with those Spellbreakers. I don't know if they're being chased down or what's going on. Looks like they're going to run away back towards him, and it looks like we're going to see Infi, yes indeed, throwing down some towers here and trying to put up this as an expansion. Lucifer, of course, not too concerned about towers, is now saying, you know what, you have some towers over here, and I'd like to see them down, because they're ruining the landscape, frankly. And that is something that is always true. I'm not sure they're up to code. They do seem to be falling pretty easily, so yeah, level 2 masonry is just not enough. You gotta have level 3. Not that it would make any difference in this situation. There's so many fiends out right now on the map. There's those 3 Abominations. This one's going to be full healed pretty much with a coil. Of course, that is a level 5 Death Knight. Now we can look over here and see what levels are these at. These guys are still level 4 Mountain King, but okay, it's still level 4 on them Archmage as well. I was thinking he might have gone ahead and get level 5 from this creep, but it looks like he didn't. And if we look over here real quick, we can see he is tier 3. He's been tier 3 probably for a minute or two. And there comes that level 3 masonry upgrade. Well, obviously slightly late there, but unfortunate. Because his expansion died, right? But you see those peasants still mining the gold. They're faithful, very hard workers, dedicated to their job, and getting out of there with some extra gold, you know, just as they run away. Not a bad thing. We can see over here that these are going to be trying to speed build this town hall as fast as they can, and it's going to go up pretty much unhindered, I guess you could say. Yeah, unhindered, because the undead is busy fighting and trying to deal with the human army at this point. You can see this is going to be an immediate bolt onto that Lich, lots of damage. However, he does have a potion of invulnerability, which is 15 seconds of invulnerability. And as Infi runs through this army, he's really just getting decimated. This positioning and going through that Lich wasn't the best of idea, I don't think, for him, especially with these statues being used really nice as just big kind of monolithic blockers. There's a level 5 Panda. Now, he doesn't have any way to heal himself, so he might get past that full potion from that Lich, especially if they keep them 2 together. And it looks like there's going to be that Mountain King taking a lot of damage. Panda just goes down, and the Paladin that was actually out just goes down as well. Here comes this Mountain King. The Mountain King immediately, as soon as he gets out of the invulnerability, he goes ahead and goes down to a Coil Nova, and Infi calls the GG, so that's game 1 of the ZOTAC number 260 finals between Lucifer and Infi. So if you guys want, I would highly recommend joining me in game 2, because this is turning out to be one very, dare I say, epic series. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. So I'll see you guys there. Just click this button. It'll take you right to game 3.